New at 11 tonight, Valley farmers bracing for yet some more wet conditions. It may be the final round of rain before summer hits, but it could cause some major delays in crop production. Juanita Adame in studio tonight with more on what's being done to limit the damage. Juanita.
Well, Alex, ag officials tell us days like today should have been much warmer. And at this point in the season, flowers should be well into bloom and crops starting to grow. But the cold weather and the rain has put a pause to all of that. And even with all this water, they're still bracing for the worst.
The cold, wet weather this late into spring could mean lots of delays.
Right now, that's just not happening because it's very cool. It's just a very slow process.
First in crop growth, then in crop production and harvest.
But now we find ourselves where there's just a delay in the maturity just simply because we don't have those heat units that we would normally expect by this time of year.
But how bad will these effects be? Fresno County Farm Bureau President Ryan Jacobson said right now it's hard to tell.
I think we're going to see some smaller crops on some of our permanent crops simply because it's been so wet and cool, but we won't know those numbers probably until a couple of months from now as we get closer to harvest.
Also hard to tell is which crops have suffered the most. That, he said, will depend on geography.
So here, when you look at up and down the valley, we obviously know that Tulare, Kings counties are being heavily impacted right now because of the flooding events, and particularly going back, 30 to 45 days ago. We saw the effects up in Merced County.
What is happening, though, is that the recent rain and cold weather is causing farmers to work extra hard to maintain their crops.
A lot of things are the sensitivity to, funguses and mold, so they're out there putting their fungicides and doing everything they can to protect their crops and get through this.
But again, finding out how much damage that all this weather has caused will also just be a waiting game.
We got a good idea last week when we had that heat wave to see how much was actually going to come down. It gave us a good indication, but there is still an incredible bounty up there that's going to be coming down over the course of the next 2 to 3 months.
And as far as the ag community goes, he said they did not expect this quick of a turnaround after that 3-year drought. It was good to see all this water come into the valley, putting them in a much different place today than they were a few months ago. Live here in the studio, Juanita Adame, KSA 24 local news that matters.